was repatriated back to the United States in 90 days.
Isn't it amazing how that works?
Yes.
So are you suggesting, hold on, let's get this here. Did you hear him right? He said tax policy actually matters, and that by reducing and lessening the tax and regulatory burden, that capital can come into the United States and potentially be used for job creation. Is that what you're suggesting?
Is that what you're saying, Rob?
Because there's a guy at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue that just disagrees. There's a guy named Bill Owens who actually publicly disagrees with you. Okay? And that's what we're dealing with this election right now. There is financial reality, there's economic laws, and those things make a huge difference.
But the reason why more did not come in is because of the accounting problems that they would run into. In other words, if they had a year to bring that money back, most of it would have come back into the United States at 15% taxes. The next thing is, I see your competitor is talking about bringing natural gas into the area. It's my understanding that there's a JP4 line that runs from Albany to Plattsburgh.
Okay.
Can that be modified to bring natural gas into the area?
Sure.
Something for you to look into.
Yeah. And,
Okay.
and look, I understand what job creation means. I mean, I've been involved with big and small companies in terms of all those things. Like, what does government have? We can talk about what government shouldn't do, but what should government do? Keep us safe, make sure we have police and courts, and those few basic functions that we, through the collective action problem, can't do. You know, where we were dealing with sewers, roads, gas lines, where we're dealing with, you know, in certain parts of this district, there's no broadband. Heck, there's no cell coverage. I mean, that's crazy. Like, talk about economic development, and if your kids can't have their, you know, their iPhone or their BlackBerry out texting their friends, it's over. You're moving out. The next train, you're gone. Talk about economic development. That's what we have to have. So look, make sure we have real roads, real sewers, real gas lines, but also real broadband, actual cell phone coverage. It's just simple as that. That's what we have to have. This is a rural district. Probably one of the few things that ties this whole new bucket called the 21st District together is the rural nature. You have to have the type of infrastructure that people want to live at. That's how it's going to work. I mean, the great thing about the U.S. economy today, we have over $15 trillion gross domestic product. 70% of that's service. You can live anywhere. A lot of things can happen. You can be a lot of places. You don't have to be next door to the factory like everybody was, you know, 50 plus years ago. But guess what? You have to live in the future. You have to have broadband. You have to have cell phone coverage. You have to have those things. But think about it, guys. What would you get cut up? Look at this guy right here. Look at this, right? Here you go. He's texting right now as he speaks right here. Imagine being cut off from this. He's out of here.
We're actually using it for notes.
Good.
But
that's what's
it's really hard to live without it. Like, if you don't have cell phones, you really can't do anything.
Yeah.
There's so much that you can do now, like navigation, like even just to go wherever. Like, say I want to go out of California, I can just say California and it brings me right to that location and tells me exactly every step to turn in order to get there. And I really don't think I can live without it.
There you go. My man's being honest here. I don't think I can live without it. How old are you? And that's not going to change over the course of your life. I hope you live 100 years, right? It's not going to change in the next 3 years.
I got one more point.
But my only point is that, look, we live in a dynamic U.S. economy, okay? Now, barely old enough to remember this, but look, there's a reason we don't have buggy whip manufacturers, we don't have elevator operators, we don't pick our Christmas gifts out of Montgomery Ward catalogs anymore, okay? We live in the internet age. We actually have cars. We have self-service. We have all these things. And that's what makes America great. And government has to get out of the business of saying Cylinder gets money, or let the market sort it out. We're letting people vote every day. The market is very powerful because you, every time when you pick one product over another, you do one thing versus another, you're voting. Sure. It's the most democratic thing in the world. The free market is relentlessly democratic. Simple as that. Sorry, sir, go ahead.
You speak a lot like our last or our present congressman. We worked like heck to get him in there, money, etc. Once he got in, he turned into a NASCAR driver. All left-hand turns.
Permission to use that going forward. That's a great quote. I've never used that one. NASCAR driver. I'm going to use that, by the way, we're going to use it against Bill Owens. He's
But he only voted 44% conservative. Everything else was, you know, he went off the wall on us.
Drink the water.
Don't drink the water.
Yeah, drink bottled water, number one.
That's right.
You know,
There.
like, look, this is why I'm going to Congress. Okay? I'm going to Congress to do these things. And look, I have knowledge of the economy. I understand what businesses need. I understand what the challenges are, right? And so I'm there to make sure that we do what's right for the country. And look, you got to start with the Constitution. I mean, it's as simple as that. That's the user's manual. Right? You can change it. It's only been changed, what, 27 times, 27 amendments, and
Yes,
we
since
actually netted out a
2008.
couple to get rid of prohibition. But that's what we're talking about here, right? And that's the fundamental nature of going forward and making sure that we keep the Constitution. But here's the other thing too. Look, I need your help, okay? Like your help. Like it's all great to get fired up here. We got a man from Mariah, we got a man from White Creek and Whitehall and all the different places all over here. But you know what? When you go ahead and when you say you're only voting 44% of the time, well, there's a whole world that's going to crush me, okay? When I vote the way you want me to vote. And all I'm asking is that, not today, you know, but starting on November 7th, 2012, and going forward, after I get sworn in, you have my back. Because guess what? The media here, these people at the Post-Star, woo! Woo! Did I get that right? Woo! Right? I mean, it's something, okay?
They
It's
like
something.
left turns too.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Matt, don't worry about Post-Star. We told Mr. Gibson the same thing, that we'd have his back. And if ever, it's a lonely place out there, and when you're from back here, and they keep pounding you day after day, call us.
Hey!
That's what we're here
There we go.
for. Get off his back. He's doing what the people of his district want him to do. And it seems like, fell on deaf ears, he drank the water, and whenever they want him, the good old boys. And that's another question. If it's strictly against the Constitution, in your gut, if you're a study of the Constitution, and Boehner and the boys tell you, well, we're gonna vote for it, would you vote for the law?
No.
Okay.
Look,
This is what we're saying,
one-
and when they say to you, Boehner says, well, you want money for your district? You vote for it. And you call us and say, he's in my bag. We'll make the phone call.
So is this a bad time to tell you that the historical museum based upon your life's not going to be a reality now?
I'm just
funny,
telling you.
yes.
And it, you know, most of us here, and I'm not speaking for the Tea Party, because I worked for Chris Gibson.
Sure.
He didn't, at that time, he didn't even know I was Tea Party. I thought the man was the real thing. I'm disappointed.
Very disappointed.
Very disappointed in that man. I think I know more about the Constitution than he does, and he'll tell you he's a constitutional scholar. There's no way he could invoke for some of the things he did. Because we told him, we have your back. Call us. When you're down there and it's 9, 10 o'clock at night and the lobbyists are after you, give us a call. That's what we're here for. I would rather he voted strictly against that, and at least he did what his constituents wanted, than to go along with the party.
Agreed.
Well, that goes back to your term limits, because you guys spend half your time getting reelected. If you had term limits, you could
There's
do
an
what
end.
you're supposed to do, and then go about your
And
business.
now let's just take both your points and go one step further. Look, I don't need the job. That's just a statement of fact. It's not going to complete my career in politics. I've never been elected. It's not going to, you know, getting paid $174,000 is not going to do anything for me financially. I'm going to do the right thing. Like I got crushed, even though I came up very, very close. And I was beaten down like a pulp in the media the last time up. And Mary and I decided we're going to go forward because we believe in the country. And you know what? You want guys like me. That, you know, Vander's gonna be like, well, campaign fund. Like, I don't care. Like, and I respect the speaker. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
And that's my point. At the end of the day, you have to make the right decisions for the country, and make sure you advocate for your district.
But
In
we've
that order.
heard that all the time, and we heard that from Chris, and politicians have less credibility than the major media. We don't believe you anymore. We just don't believe you. And I've had personal meetings, one-on-ones with Chris Gibson, relative to Agent Orange, and I am very, very, very disappointed in that man. Very. And yet he stood, maybe not exactly where you're standing, but said the exact same things. And we're getting sick and tired of it.
Two things, okay? You don't have to do it. You can just tune me out. But number one, I'll put the tail of the tape, okay? It's either gonna be me or Bill. And that's what it's gonna come down to.
Would you mind the first time you voted against the Constitution if we came down and literally tarred and feathered you? Would you mind?
Hold on. I think Mary will help you out. I don't think you'll have to wait for her. I think she'll be a part of you.
I'll tell you where he is.
We got my man from Mariah, we got a whole thing. So. Well, that's number one. But it's a real point, because elections are about choices. But number two, give me a chance. Give me a chance. Look, I'm a business guy. I'm doing this because I believe in the country. This is not part of, this is just me saying, you know what, I think I got a little to contribute to the country. I understand deeply. Right now, the challenges of our time, I told you, is debt and growth. I mean, look, we cannot continue our direction right now, and you have to take the tough votes.
Chris Gibson
And so here's the deal, let me finish, let me finish.
Voted to increase the budget.
I was gonna say, you have to vote against the debt ceiling. You just have to take the hit, and even so, now you start seeing Speaker Boehner saying, well, we are gonna raise the debt ceiling, okay? You have to go ahead and economically lay out the arguments. Look, if you're a nice guy who's practicing law, whatever, you know, small town, like, it's hard to go ahead and fight against these forces.
There's no such thing as a nice guy practicing law.
To go ahead and fight these forces of like these monster enterprises that will come in with all these fancy economists, you have to be able to go toe to toe. I can. Give me a chance. That's all I can ask for. Sir.
Yes, you know, I've been considered an outspoken person, which I am, and I'll tell you right now, we were here, you can talk all day long about what I think we're all knowledgeable here with the economy and the faith of America today, right? And I'm totally disappointed with this Obama administration. I could go detail one-on-one. I mean, but it's just disgusting in the left-wing media. And for a point on the Post-Star, and to support my friend here, I've put many articles in, and they've done a fine job. They really have, and I'm gonna tell you that. You know, everybody has different experiences, and I'm the first for the left-wingers, I'll bury them, if I can, you know? But what I'm getting at, I'm so sick of this Obama administration. I mean, how many times the dog gotta bite you to see what you're doing? As far as I'm concerned, and you can put this where you want, he's a direct threat to the very fabric of this nation.
Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Period.
I agree.
And something has to be done. And I'm sick of all politicians, maybe the independents, Republicans, Democrats, they're gonna do this, just like yourself. I wish you luck. I do, I truly do. And Owens, you well know, I don't know, you don't know me, you heard the name. I don't know if you read the literature, I heard you said you did, but read my literature I sent to you. And the letter I sent to Mr. Owens. Am I right, Mary? And I'm sick and tired of it. And I go there and I talk on a monthly basis to that hotline, to that ridiculous U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, who is a disgrace. Him and the puppet in the White House are sleeping in bed together. They stop everything.
Sure.
They, every day, day in and day out, I don't care if it's voter identification, I don't care if it's illegal aliens coming into the country, stop. He's just looking for the vote. He's looking for the vote for amnesty so he gets it from the, you know, whatever be the case. I don't want to, it really gets me hot. But I'm saying he's ruining the, I mean, he is, he's a definite threat to America.
What are we gonna do about it?
We're gonna get him out of there.
That's right.
Period.
And
One way or the other, and I don't mean in that respect,
We're not
we
gonna do
have
that.
to get him out.
But look, and that's why the 2012 election's fundamental. It is that.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's very important. It's a really critical time. And as I called there to the comment line, I sometimes you get somebody, times you don't, but I talk personally to a staff member, well, no regards to staff members, but, you know, they got an 18 neck and a 2 hat. They're just answering the phone. You know, it's just as simple as that.
That's another one you can use.
There, we gotta start writing this down. The team neck and the 2 hat. What are you gonna say, my man? Come on, you gotta follow up with that.
Well, it's a concern, not a question. And you might know the technical language for it. But these backroom deals, for example, you say, well, I'm a big NRA man, okay? So you know. I saw you at the banquet. Thank you for coming.
You got it.
Listen. You say, you know, I own assault weapons, self-loading, large detachable magazines, okay? So they want a national assault weapons ban, and let's say you say, well, I'm in favor, the Constitution says right to bear arms, doesn't specify.
Okay.
Okay? That was a gentleman to understand state of the art. Whatever was out there, that's what the people could own, okay? But these backroom deals, they slip in something like that on a bill that you wanted to represent your people, a major funding project for your district, whatever. You're put in a situation where, you know, you have to read it to find out what's in it. And then we, the hopefully informed electorate, are watching you. Why did he vote against assault weapons? Well, because it was put in a bill that you couldn't possibly vote against. You know what I'm saying?
And that's why.
It's the backroom dealing.
And that's why elections matter. Because whatever challenge and disagreements you might have with Speaker Boehner, he's not gonna put that in the bill. Speaker Pelosi, I can guarantee you it won't just be that, it'll be on the way to actual, some sort of, Brady bill on the way to actually
Yeah.
abolishing guns, right?
Far
Again,
worse.
that's why people matter. Like the most important vote, one of the most important votes that I would cast as hopefully your future member of Congress, we're gonna vote for Speaker. Now, you can say, look, I'm definitely voting for Boehner over Pelosi, full stop, and that's what matters here. But look, you raised a big question there, right? And that's why you gotta have the courage to be like, you know what, that's too far, I can't be for that, and I know I'm gonna take heat. That's what Ray and I had a little back and forth there, right? Like, I can't do that, this is where I live. I have to pick whether it's guns or taxes, that's why I'm running for Congress. And if we do that, we can get the country going in the right direction. And that's part of it, it's gonna be tough votes. Going forward, let's be very clear, there are gonna be tough votes. And there's gonna be votes in here that everybody in this room disagrees with.
What do you mean by tough?
That two things you'll like. Okay, one thing that you hate and one thing you really like.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to vote against the thing you really like because you can't deal with the thing you hate. Okay? It's a tough vote. It's just simple as that. You're gonna have to deal with it. Sir?
Yes, the gentleman brought it up. What is your stance on illegal immigration and securing our borders?
Look, as someone who grew up on a border,
Yeah.
that, I never worried, fall asleep in Alexandria Bay that somehow we're gonna have a horde of crazy people who live in Ontario storming into the United States, right? We have a southern border challenge, okay? We have a problem. So whether it's, California, Arizona, New Mexico, or Texas, we can all agree on that, right? But for God's sakes, we beg Canadians to come over the border from Montreal and Ottawa to spend their strong currency over here in the US dollar, for God's sakes, okay? We don't have, and guess what? After they spend their money, you know what they do? They turn back around, they go home at night, okay? So we have a southern border. We have to secure the border. If that's a fence, so be it. We have to secure the border, number one. Number two, and look, no one loves Reagan. I love Reagan. But remember, he signed into a law in 1986 that basically gave amnesty. And guess how, did it work for us?
Certainly
It
not.
didn't work. So again, as a businessman, someone who tries to put practical facts, practical application of those facts and see how they turn out into reality. And so guess what? Amnesty didn't work for us. So I don't know why we would do it now. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, here's the thing, third thing too. And if I lose some people here, so be it. But guess what? We have a lot of businesses in this district, whether you're milking cows, picking apples, making sheets, whatever the case might be, that we have illegals here. We do. We think all the 10 million are not working, a lot of them work. And so we have to come up with a guest worker program that actually meets both needs, gets the family farmer out of the business of having to somehow hide in the shadows and actually get it to the forefront. We have these programs right now. There's one big program with Jamaican workers that come in to pick apples. Okay? We have those right now. Why can't we do more of that? We can, we will. But you have to have somebody in Congress jamming it through. These are little things you can get done. This isn't like changing the healthcare system. Like in terms of getting guest programs, whether it's Guatemala, whether it's Jamaica, Mexico, whatever it is, to get people on the farm, in the orchard, doing whatever we need to do to actually make sure that our businesses are vibrant. Because again, we're talking back to the twin challenge of debt and growth. This goes to the growth point. You start taking away people's labor input, you have some challenges on these places here. So you go ahead, reinforce the border, no amnesty, and have the type of program, because guess what? A lot of these people who are illegals here, they just want to make money. They don't want to become Americans anymore, they want to make money. They want to send it back to Honduras. They want to send it to Guatemala, Mexico, right? Yeah, that's true, right? We know that. So let's do it in a way that doesn't put people in harm's way. Let's do it in a way that actually helps our economy and stops the challenge we have right now.
Can't lump the guest worker in with the illegal.
I
One
wanna
is
take-
controlled,
I will-
supposedly,
No.
the Jamaicans go back home.
I want
Downstate, we
to
have,
bring the guest worker
they come
to
in,
deal
they come
with
in
the
for the
illegal.
picking season and they go back home. There's control over it. There's no control over the others.
Like,
They
that's
do what
what
they want.
we want, exactly, that's why we have to change it. We have to remove the illegals, put the borders up, no amnesty, and have the programs where we can get what we need here. Sir?
So where the rubber hits the road, do you consider yourself part of the EGOP, the establishment Republicans, or do you stand on the founding principles, the Declaration, the Constitution? Are you for the people? And the EGOP, the establishment, the Bonner, Lindsey Graham, John McCain, these people who capitulate, acquiesce, who are not for the people, they are for power of government rather than the sovereignty of the people. Where do you think you line up?
I am for, keyword here is freedom.
About liberty.
I'm running, because without freedom, it is very hard to have liberty. In some ways, they're almost synonymous, to be fair. Okay? That's what I believe in. That's why I'm running for Congress. And so, I don't know if you walked in late, always dead set against SOPA. You know what SOPA is, right? Stand Up Online, Stop Online Piracy Act. Like the entire Republican establishment was for it. I said, no way. no way, this is like literally censoring the internet. CISPA, another thing, the entire Republic established for it. I go, basically, that's a violation of our privacy. So the point is, like, I'm gonna stand up for the people of the 21st Congressional District, because you know what, that's the only people I have to answer to. Simple as that. And at the end of the day, if you guys all disagree with me, we don't need term limits, you're just gonna send me down the road, okay? But what I'm here to say is that, look, we have a challenge, okay? And right now the challenge is the twin challenges of growth and debt. And there are a group of people out there led by the President of the United States who want to make sure that we're like Europe, that believe in the collective, not the individual. That say, you know what, I don't believe in market-driven outcomes. I believe that a group of people in Washington tell you what to do. That is the challenge of our day right now. So I'm going to lead the way. Look, have I been endorsed by the Republicans? Yes. I want to be endorsed by the Tea Party. I've been endorsed by the Tea Party. I believe in freedom and people who generally are on the right end of the ledger here. Now, doesn't mean I don't want Democrats and independents to vote for me. Of course I do. I want everybody to vote for me. But in terms of what I believe in terms of freedom and liberty and how that applies to our economy and our lives, that's what it is. And guess what? We mentioned, and we talked about the Constitution. That the roadmap. That is the Founding Fathers' roadmap to us. Go back to it. Section 1, Article 8. Let's go back to how many, if you don't know how many articles and how many amendments, like I get a little nervous, like, after you read up for your job interview? That's what kind of running for Congress is, right? Very good.
Okay, we gotta cut it short, people.
Oh, you gotta let them keep asking. You gotta let them keep going. Come on.
Two more questions, and then we've got a meeting we've got to do.
All right, I'll stay.
But the
People will
point of it,
stay.
no, if you're willing to stay, there's a lunchroom right across the room here. And anybody that wants to ask you a question, feel free.
So what are you telling me, that he's gonna buy the nightcaps?
Yeah.
It's the old line, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here, ma'am.
You say you're for the Constitution.
That's what I said.
And I would like very much to believe that. If you do get in, and you get in the position where you have to make a decision, am I going to vote for this, even though it's against the Constitution, how would you handle that?
Well, it's kind of
What would you do?
Well, it's kind of similarly what we said here, right? But again, this is part of the challenge. Like, you can't, it's hard. It's not easy to bring up a $16 trillion debt. It's hard to run $1.3 trillion to $1 trillion deficit every year. Like, that's not easy. You have to work at it. And so you get down at like every. I love this one too. One of my favorite sayings is that there's nothing more permanent than a temporary government program.
Yeah.
And that's what we see time and time again, because never is there ever like a sunset date of a program. Never is there. We have a small window. Let's take care of a problem in 2 years and never deal with it again. Things that happen. And I'm ashamed that I had to admit it this way, but with TARP, right, the Troubled Asset Relief Program. This is the bailout program for banks, right? We all remember it, right? This was back in 08. Okay, it's still with us. Like, I was blown away when you saw the JP Morgan Chase stuff and they lost $2 billion on an investment or hedging or screwed it up or whatever. And I was like, what's the big deal? Oh, by the way, because we still own part of it. I go, what year is it? It's 2012, right? I go, Chase is making money. Like, why do we still own it? Like, this is when you talk about the constitutional nature of it. Like, you just have these things that just keep going broader, and they never end, and it just keeps on going. And these temporary become permanent, and the permanent become never ending, and nothing ever goes away. And these programs just continue to come up with new life. And no matter that, we have people who are on the internet all day, and we have jobs we could never imagine before in the knowledge economy. And we go back, and our laws are still dated from 1933, 1934, 1935, 1965, and we have a different world like right now. I mean, that's what we're saying. And so when I talk about being the Constitution, it's like, what does government do? Protects us, make sure we keep the bad guys off the street, we prosecute them, and those few collective action functions that you and I can't do alone. It's pretty darn hard for you and I to build an interstate highway together. It just is. And again, we can have private roads, I'm all for that, but we have roads, sewers, broadband, as well as cell phone, that have the basic infrastructure that allows us to move around the country, to allow us and our business to be productive. That's what we're going for. That's what the Constitution says.
But
I don't think there's a but.
one answer is all I want. Would you sell your soul?
No.
Anything else?
You said only two.
Yeah. Well, Nate, you had your hand up?
No, I was reading for Betty.
That's what makes Nate a great American.
All right.
Well, anyways, look, I'll let you go. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. It's been fun, great questions. Hopefully the PowerPoint gave a little bit of idea of what I'm thinking here. Look, I work very hard, I promise. I'll be the hardest working guy in the United States. It's a huge district, and just to move around, it's 4 hours from here to there and everywhere. I'll continue to work hard, listen to what you think. But look, give me a chance. That's all I ask. Give me a chance. And I think together we can do some great things, and I'll keep coming back, and appreciate the opportunity. And see you soon. Thank you.
There's coffee,